I did a doo-doo. I made a whoopsie-dipsy. So I accidentally did part 1, 2, and 4 in the last video, and it's really not that big of a deal. I'm just going to do part 3 in this video. This video is just going to be part 3 and 5, and then what I'm going to do is for the last part, I'm going to make a one big-ass video where it's going to be parts 6, 7, and 8. And 8 isn't too big anyway, so it should be fine. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to start off with 3. Yeah, like my last vid, if the title of the subject is red, then it's going to be, like, not safe for whatever you would be given for. It might be naughty or gore, whatever, and it'll be pretty self-explanatory. So just be prepared for once you see it. Part 3 is described as follows. These entries have surfaced at some point. Users here often follow subreddits, use Twitter and YouTube, but hear a lot about trends and memes last. However, being pretty curious, they might find themselves interested and about more obscure material later. Mariana's Web gets its name from the Mariana Trench, as in, the deep web. And there's different rumors on what exactly floats around there, but the common ones are that there's like files lost to mankind, and there's intelligence agencies, and there's even a rumor that the Mariana Web itself is like an AI. It's so stupid because apparently it's so far deep that you would need like a quantum computer to even like reach it, which is like literally impossible. So yeah, I'm gonna call bullshit on that one. Boxy is basically a girl that made videos of her talking, and she's like a bimbo, I guess. I actually remember her pretty well. Her videos are basically just her talking about like a bunch of random shit, and it's kind of like, it's almost like incoherent, but it was funny, I guess, for the time. And eventually she made a YouTube channel and even appeared on Disney, but it was Disney XD, so it's not that big of a deal. Twitch Booster is just a service you can use to get Twitch views. I don't even know why this was included, or at least why it's on tier 3, because it's basically like one of those Insta follower things where you can like get followers on Insta, but yeah, definitely doesn't seem like something that should be on tier 3. Roro-chan 1999 is basically a live stream of a 14-year-old girl in Japan. Roro began streaming in 2012, and by the way, we never really know her full name. But she had the goal of being famous even if it meant she died, which, foreshadowing. She streamed herself singing, playing piano, even weird stuff like running through traffic and getting too close to comfort with the balcony, which is a little bit dangerous, but I guess it got her views. Her last stream was a bit strange and unlike the others. It started with her holding the camera close to her face, and she was in clear distress. She mumbles and acts really afraid. She crouches on her balcony, and she even says, "I'm scared," which is a very distinct part of the video. And then she slowly starts moving towards the edge of the balcony, and in the next shot we see her and her camera falling down, and well, she lets out a scream, and then, the whole thing is pretty sad because it is really just like a young girl committing suicide, and it's still not really clear why she did it, because it seemed almost in the video like she didn't want to, but at the same time in the video it's very clear that she's the one who did it herself, so it's possible that she thought that this would be like the next step up, or maybe something went wrong. If there ever was a silver lining though, she did end up getting famous online, and it became like a big thing at the time, as well as multiple songs tributed to her, so, rest easy. WikiLeaks is a currently existing website that supposedly has government, corporation, conspiracy fuel basically all tied up in one wiki. Unfortunately, it's too good to be true, as most of the supposed government leaks are just conspiracy theories that are made to seem neutral, but in reality it's a lot of shit that just like really alt-writers say. Like, for example, there's a whole section dedicated to Hillary Clinton doing satanic rituals, so probably not the best place for a research paper. Yay Video Games is apparently a Reddit user who just kind of like off the perk. They basically started spamming the phrase, "Ubisoft goes Steamworks bye-bye, always on DRM." And people were talking about a game, and then he kind of interjected, said something like stroke-inducing but relatively normal, and then he started spamming that like 1,000 times. And yeah, people thought it was weird and like an internet mystery, but it kind of just seems like a random dude who just wanted to be like weird and make a scene. Also, some other people who helped me look into this gave me screenshots and stuff he commented after that whole thing, and it was just like normal conversation. So it was just really an attention seeker, like me. A.L.I.C.IA is a website on the deep web that looks really creepy and shows like a moth, and it's supposed to be like an AI, but it's a hoax. Of course, there's no like AI just like sitting in the dark web showing us moth pictures. So yeah. On top of that, the website doesn't even really do anything. And I mean, I think people forget a lot of the time, the dark web or the deep web or whatever, it's just like the internet, except like more loose. You can make a website. Like I could probably make a website on like some really simple format with Comic Sans that says like Pumpkin Feast 1971, and then just like it's like text in the middle. and you can click it and it takes you to a different site of like a meat grinder industry, and it would be like it was something on this iceberg. It'd be something like so stupid. Like you can do whatever you want. A lot of these are really just people trying to, I don't know, start shit. 11B-X1371 is a video that went viral in 2015. It basically shows a person dressed as a plague doctor, and they're wandering and standing around a crumbled abandoned building. The masked individual puts up a hand, and he kind of has this like flickering light on it that's been tied to it, and there's also a soundtrack that's really distorted and weird and dissonant, and then the video ends. And the whole thing is just about 2 minutes. Obviously caused a lot of confusion, so people went in to try to decipher what it meant. The sound spectrogram was decoded, and apparently there's a bunch of pictures, and it shows like dead and mutilated people, and even victims from the Boston Strangler, for example, among other famous killings recent history. There was also Morse code that was inserted into single frame post-process, and one of them was deciphered and basically was like the coordinates of the White House, and another one was just a phrase that was like red lips like 10th. A lot of people think that the red lips part is alluding to death, and with the White House being the coordinates and this coming out around 2015, a lot of people think that this is some sort of like death threat to the president or saying that he needs to be taken out of power. Apparently another cipher in the video had the phrase, "Stand and fight with us, take down the Black Beast, kill his disease or fall with the rest," which Black Beast is pretty rough language. Can only assume they're really talking about Barack Obama, which is rough. A lot of people think it was like a bioterrorism threat because of the fact that the guy had like a plague mask, and also it was clearly talking about, you know, the death or at least the overthrow of the government. Others think it was just a bunch of alt-righters being crazy and cryptic. I think it was probably both, but I don't think it was actually a real threat. Also, the maker of the clip came out of the woodwork in 2016 and stated that nobody was any closer to understanding what the clip actually meant. And then that's all he said, and then he dipped. So very role player-esque here. We got another league player. In between these explanations, let me just add that, I mean, some of the stuff sounds really internet-y and dumb, but keep in mind that this is part 3, and then the next part 5, is going to be way more obscure, and hopefully there's a big jump in the oh shit factor for you guys. Aganon counterpart, AC, it's pretty messed up video, but it's not like messed up in the way that you think. It's basically just like your average disturbing content cartoon parody that starts off fine and then it gets weird and hellish and meta and, you know, all that good stuff. There's also like screaming in the background and baby heads and a bunch of like strange shit that I think it was like meant to seem like something as like psychedelic and disturbing to watch. Although there was a rumor that the screams in the background were actually from like a Japanese murder case that happened, which makes that was actually recorded by the killers, by the way. Which makes the video less creepy and more just like genuinely disturbing on a personal note. When people glorify things like rape by like putting it in the background to make it ooh so creepy, but it's actually like a rape, it's just really disgusting to me. And just so we're clear, it was only a rumor that the screaming is from that case, so keep it in mind, but still weird. Alan Tutorial is also an interesting one. It's basically a YouTuber by the name of Alan Tutorial, go figure, who makes tutorials, also go figure. The first few of his videos are fine, but then things got weird and ended up with him being like, one of the videos ended up with him being interrupted by knocking on his bedroom door, and then like the video ends. And from there, it almost seems like something is like haunting him or chasing him or whatever. And he starts kind of going like ape shit and like breaking his room and like throwing stuff around in lots of the videos. So at some point he gets locked out of his room and then he wanders into the woods and he like keeps making videos and he gets a little esoteric and he's like finding meaning and continuing even though he doesn't have the room anymore. And then he gets kidnapped and then he has like forced to do stuff by his kidnappers, and then he like breaks out. And it's really weird because it sounds like dark and stuff, but it's actually not. The whole thing was filmed like in a comedic lens. So it's still like kind of weird, but it's mostly just like this is like really stupid. Apparently there was some really meta and artistic theme going through the whole thing about YouTubers doing anything for money and stuff like that, but I mean it's really just like comedic and it's like satire and whatnot. It's funny, laugh. Normal porn for normal people. I don't know if I can say that. It's basically a creepypasta of a website that has pornography, but not really. It's like strange. The whole thing in the creepypasta, the person talks about how they want to like eradicate like hypersexuality and like, I don't know, they want to bring sexuality back to like a normal thing. And then so a lot of the videos are just like for example, there's a dog eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. There's also like a man licking like a dryer, like a laundry dryer. Later in the creepypasta, it says that the videos get stranger and stranger, and the last video is actually like a woman who's tied down, getting eaten alive by a chimpanzee painted red, which, of course, this is a creepypasta. This is like none of this shit happened, but there have been like offshoot sites that come off of it, and most of them are just like, it's almost like a shock site, but it's like trying to fit into the creepypasta. So there'll be weird videos of people doing things, and then there'll be like the occasional like somebody getting killed. So DPR, I couldn't really find anything on this that would actually fit the iceberg. There was some normal stuff, like there was a musician. I have to actually like refer to there's a Google Docs that had been really helping me for the stuff that I don't know. The stage of researching is basically I'll see a term, I'll research it. If I can't find it in about 10 minutes, I go to the Google Doc, and then I research that for about 10 minutes. So, okay, but DPR, I guess, refers to, according to the Google Doc, is the Dread Pirate Roberts, which is the username of Ross William Ulbrich, the former owner of the deep web marketplace, the Silk Road. Not good stuff happening there. 4chan charts could be two different things, I think. So when I was like looking this up and I searched just 4chan knowledge charts, the main thing that comes up is like these studies that were done on like the ideologies of the people using 4chan, which is really funny, and that's gonna be the picture I'm using. You can see there's like, I think the second place is pirate, and then the first place is, well, 4chan. The second thing could also be just the fact that on 4chan there's lots of charts with lots of different things that people can like talk about and discuss and post stuff on, and a lot of the times when I was looking for stuff around that specifically, there was a lot of Club Penguin on there, which I'm going to be using Club Penguin instead of Cheese Pizza as the substitute for CP. Thanks, Andre. Chip Chan is referring to a woman who live streamed herself every day in her own apartment, which sounds totally normal. And then the catch is that she was apparently being held hostage by a corrupt police officer by the codename P, who had also implanted 2 mind control devices in her body. Her first appearance was in 4chan in 2008, which of course it was 4chan, everything is always fucking 4chan. And she claims that if she leaves her apartment, she'll die, although she streams from different places than her house on numerous occasions. She even switches apartment at some point. So the whole thing could either be like a big like attention seeker thing, and then people have come up with multiple different scenarios as to like why these things happen, ranging from she's a schizophrenic, to it's real, to it's an art project. I'm going to go ahead and say that it's not real, and I'm not going to elaborate. Username 666 is a creepypasta video that was uploaded by user Nana8825. The video shows him searching up the YouTube user 666 by using the youtube.com/u/666, and nothing happens. But as he refreshes the page, things slowly get more red and glitch, as well as somewhat meaty, and eventually the devil comes out and like eats Nana's ass or something. I don't really know. It's pretty interesting, and this was made by Japanese artist Spiropito in 2008. I'm so sorry for that pronunciation. Cicada 3301 was basically an organization that put out internet puzzles with the intention of finding computer talent among the puzzle solvers. They dropped a few puzzles, and the people who actually solved the puzzles even got hired to help them with their goals, and the people who were contacted said that they were questioned on their stance on like anti-censorship and public intellectual property, alluding to their goals being some sort of like freedom of information. The one guy who actually made it to the final stages was working on a website with them, but then apparently the website got deleted, and then he was like never contacted again, which is sus. And there's also been allegations of Cicada like breaking into government databases, none of which turned out to be true. But there's also claims of that being a cult, and everything starts out as a cult if you think about it. I mean, like, think about the FNAF fan base. And if it's not a cult, then who am I praying to? In the end, Cicada disappeared, and their project, for better or for worse, never was completed. Trance 009 is in reference to the first background songs used in YouTube videos. It's basically like relaxing sounds that became a meme at some point, because there was like a Facebook page that wanted to ban it from YouTube because it was YouTube's like national anthem or something, and I got nothing. Ah, fuck, I'm still recording. Always pause the recording when you're taking a phone break, man. Vaporwave is both a visual style and a music subgenre that basically takes R&B, jazz, and lounge music from the 80s and 90s and combines it with like a retro electric sound. And I actually have an interest in this myself, and I have a song on this channel, an original. Alright, now we're on to part 5. Now since I messed up, I'm sorry. The leap in obscurity is going to be pretty strong. Don't feel bad if you don't know what the fuck half of this stuff was, because I sure don't. Tier 5 is described as follows. Stuff here needs a good grasp on how the internet works. Many artsy websites, old urban legends, and hidden communities fall here. Researching these might be hard at some point, but can still be done using mainstream means. you might find yourself disassociated from the normal internet and seek more interesting stuff. I'm hyped. Are you guys hyped? Can you feel the hype? The death of Pablo is a little underwhelming for our first one, and for what it sounds like. It's basically like a fan remix of The Life of Pablo, a Kanye album. And I guess it's really just like a fan remix, there's nothing special. There's also like a 1.5-minute YouTube video from 2009 by the same name of a baby stomping on Pablo from the Backyardigans, and I'm not sure which I'd rather. To be honest, I looked for about 20 minutes and I didn't find anything that it wasn't like an org that archived information online, and that doesn't seem very like far-fetched to me. There's like a tons of those, so I'm really out on this one. And if you guys know if there's any nefarious internet deep web gambling site that this is in reference to, then okay, yeah, so I just did an additional research, and I do think I was actually on the money on this one. Archives community really is just like in reference to lots of the websites that you can go to that would basically like archive things that happened in the past. So like YouTube videos that would now be privatized, or lost media that got deleted, websites that got taken down, etc. iHawk, I think, is a website that basically takes you to a bunch of other websites through hidden hyperlinks. Each website is similar to each other, and most of them have pictures of like celebrities and random stuff like that. And the catch is that the website usually has some hidden messages that talk about government control and how people are cattle and stuff like that. There's a lot of different ones, and each one kind of has its own rabbit hole. And there's even one about Trump being like an orange teenage mutant ninja turtle that like will raise his hand and come back to president. I don't know. It's weird stuff. Tulpomancy is the practice of creating personified sentient voices that appear in your reality as hallucinations. So basically imaginary friends. Now this is actually a thing that people actually commit to, and I don't doubt it's possible. The mind is very powerful, but it is big enough that there are multiple studies on how the personalities of the tulpa, they're called tulpas, like your friends, they can coincide with the personality of the tulpamancer, or the person making the tulpa. The main ways to create a tulpa is to meditate, self-hypnotize, and even just like talk to it until it manifests, and it'll be just like an ever-present hallucination. But you really need to like believe that you have one, or that you can talk to one in order for it to appear. And it is like a very long process, because you have to like not only trick your brain knowing that you're creating it, but like believe it fully that it's been there since day one. Some people claim to actually see their tulpas and describe them so intricately that one would think that it's like a whole other person in their head. And I think when I was younger, I had an imaginary friend, but I never actually saw it. It was just kind of like talking to myself and pretending it was someone else, which I realize makes me sound really fucking sad. So I'm personally skeptic, but it's really cool nonetheless. Rotten.com is a bit like LiveLeak, except it doesn't actually have videos. Instead, it focuses on like shock value through pictures and like news articles. The site usually has forensic pictures up, natural deformities, more so like disturbing curiosities than straight up gore. And its last update was in January 2018, so it's mostly dead. But stuff is still there if you want to check it out. I did go to the website just to see like the front page, and there was like some links to like different places with some pictures, and it does stay true to its name. There is like weird stuff there. Like it would be like, oh god, but you can't stop looking. In editing the video, I usually like find the pictures of what I want to use. So to find the Rotten.com picture, I put Rotten.com in the Google images, and then I scrolled down, and it was the worst mistake I ever made. It was like a picture of a guy who had like his arm in like a meat grinder, and there were surgeons trying to help him take it out, and then it showed his hand scarred. I'm scarred now, and it was my own fault. New Material Want is like a really weird website, and I actually couldn't find any information on it, so I had to go in myself, which I like never do because I want to keep my soul, and some of this shit is really weird. But I got lucky this time. Basically, it randomizes like a bunch of 3D models and then like fuses them together, and then you can like spin them around with your mouse, and then there will also be like textures on them, and I think it takes it from like multiple different sources, and it's like you can refresh the page, totally random, and it's just like a time killer website. I don't really know what practical use it has. Speaking of practical use, Sissy Hypno. It sounds so stupid when you and then it continues being stupid. It's basically porn that flashes like like naked women, and then like every once in a while it'll have like a male anatomy piece, and then its goal is to like temporarily shift or change the sexuality of the viewer. And I think it's like a meme for the most part, so I think I kind of fell for the trap. But yeah, this is like Biden's feminization plan, by the way. This is a big part of it. R/Ur is better shown than explained. I promise it isn't like gory or anything, so you don't have to like shield her eyes or anything, but I just don't know how to explain it, so here it is. Wasn't that fun? Terminal 00 is a website horror experience. It's kind of like the 937 Numa thing from the last vid, and it's actually pretty cool. I get scared easily, and this website wasn't scary, as hard as it tried, but it was interesting, and there's lots of like puzzles to solve as well as many different endings. It is kind of like it actually reminds me of like those horror anime games that are like pixelated, and you can like click through it and stuff, and like all the monsters are like really like, I don't know, it's not like scary, but it's like kind of creepy. It seems to play around with this idea that you're unlocking like Lovecraftian entities and getting obliterated by them, and I really liked it, and I only played with it for like 10 minutes, and then I realized I was researching for a YouTube video and I didn't have time to waste, but it was fun. Why is referencing another website that you click through, but this one really doesn't have a theme. It's just like trippy and weird. And also at the bottom of the main page, it takes you to like an auction site that they said they sold like a YYYYYYY info cube, which is like, it's like a spherical 3D model of the website kind of, and they sold it for like $3,000, which is like real money. And whether or not that's true or not kind of eludes me, but like, sheesh, you know, it's just a website, man. Calm down. A858 is in reference to the subreddit that mysteriously appeared in 2011 by the full name of r/A858DE45F56D9BC9. It captivated the puzzle-minded users of the site, and the many posts were uploaded were very intricately oriented and seemingly solvable. Some of the posts were hexadecimal codes, others were complicated anagrams, and the purpose was lost on many. Some users theorized that it was aliens communicating to the best of their ability, some thought it was a modern-day number station, and some thought it was a government ploy to run numbers through the public for some Jackie Chan spy next door shit thing. All of them were wrong. In fact, I actually found out through one of the subreddits made dedicated to figuring out what it was, and they had a pinned post called Some Closure, so... In the post, the now deleted moderator talks about how he came into contact with one of the people that were hired to make puzzles for the subreddit. They said that they work for a company that they couldn't disclose towards a goal that they couldn't describe, so either this is the most secret shit ever, or this is like a steaming pile of sour cream. Too many of the comments under the closure post were negative as heck, like people were not happy that they spent years of their life solving puzzles for it to end with like a random company's burnt out idea, which I can't even blame them for, but I mean, I bet it was a fun time at least. Colored Drug. Now, this one actually explicitly has a do not search or research tag like right next to it. And so naturally I looked it up anyway. And I'm not in prison, so I don't know if that was the danger. And I couldn't find anything concrete. But I'm pretty sure this is in reference to the fact that sometimes hard crystal drugs, for lack of a better term, are made in different shades of color with the goal of like attracting a certain audience. Imagine meth looking like rock candy, and you could imagine why this would be a problem for a younger audience. Stalag is in reference to an early 2000s band that made black metal music in a really disturbing way. To give you an idea of just how screwed up they were, they recorded mental patients screaming and howling in an abandoned church for parts of their albums, and the name Stalag is derived from like a concentration camp in Germany. They even wanted people to refer to them as like an entity rather than as a band because of how they felt their music should be taken and understood. Just to make it clear how insane they were, the most popular search term for this band is like, are they real? So you can understand this is pretty fucking meta. Heartbeat in the Brain is a reference to a self-made documentary by Amanda Fielding. She was 27 at the time of the film, the time being 1970, and the film was shown in many art exhibits, and after then, even up until like late 2012. The reason this film is on the iceberg is because the subject is Amanda preparing and then drilling a hole in her forehead with a dentist drill. It's actually kind of weird because all the sources I found have basically said the same exact phrasing, so I don't know where the original was and everybody just copied pasted around, but it just says like, yeah, this is her and she's drilling a hole in her head, and also there's fun pictures and videos of her bird, her pet bird, spliced throughout, which is nice, I guess. Like, I literally have no idea why I wanted to do this. A lot of people say dedication to the art, but what art is there in just drilling a hole in your head? I don't know. Maybe I'm not an artist. October 28th, 2011 is yet another one of those dedicated puzzle hidden meaning websites, and this one is a very subtle flavor of religious with a hint of cult origin. Apparently the website talks about rapture and how the end is nigh, you know, like the usual religious script. There's actually a callable number that's basically an answering machine that picks up when you call, and it basically has them breathing, and then it beeps and hangs up. Other than that, there's like a puzzle or two on it, but honestly, there are sites that have been like this but done better, so I don't know. Meet is actually a hard one to get information on, as it's actually pretty vague, but luckily, the Google Doc exists. The doc said that this was possibly a reference to Meat Sleep, which is a YouTube channel from 2014, ran by about 11 people who made videos about kidnapping, stalkings, cannibalism, you know. The videos are pretty strange, but I actually love the abundance of theories that blossom from this channel. There's the prank gone wrong theory, the alternate reality game theory, which are self-explanatory enough. I don't have time to read them. Some strange occurrences plague the channel, such as like an anagram soon kin for new skin appearing in most of the vids, as well as like really harsh editing. And there's also a handful of cryptic messages just sprinkled about, and all in all, it's a pretty inexplicable channel. But it's kind of cool how it's vague enough where you can have multiple different like interpretations of the same thing. Wizard Chan is probably the culmination of what playing too much League does to a motherfucker. It's a message board kind of 4chan, but it's entirely made of virgins who basically keep their celibacy, Jesus, I never said that word out loud, intact. Apparently, the 30-year-olds and up on the site are known as wizards because they've passed the age of desire and still remain with their virginity intact. And I'm going to go ahead and assume that these people are very down to earth and they're extremely social people with very good politics to give to the world. Freenet is a site dedicated to allowing discussion of sharing files and whatnot without the fear of censorship. It was propped up in 2000, and it's actually still operational with more than 2 million users. It's kind of like a Tor browser, but it's specially made for communication with friends and others. And also, just like the other freedom of no censorship type websites, there seems to be a lot of allegations of Club Penguin floating around, and it seems to kind of go hand in hand with sites that want freedom of censorship, and then they just are pedophiles. So, not to knock the idea, though. It would be nice to have a place for that. Just saying, it tends to get used for that thing. DMT Nexus is a website that's dedicated to spreading information, especially the science and the sourcing of DMT, which, if you didn't know, it's like a psychedelic that can be naturally found in plants and even animals. Yeah, just a bunch of information on DMT. Ogrish was a shock site that was supposedly like a news site covering the many occurrences in the world. It really focused on the death and brutality of war, and it actually was purely a gore shock site up until 6 years after its release being in 2000. Then it actually became like a news site and was still relatively gory, but said something every once in a while. Fox is basically another one of those interactive websites. It seems to contain like puzzles and, the usual interactive website thing. Although the theme for this one is based off the anime Serial Experiment Lane. And while I haven't watched the anime, this one actually visually is one of my favorites because I really like the kind of retro analog style that they have. And I think in general, I'm like a sucker just for like retro anime stuff. I don't know why, but like that early 90s, 80s period, like if you've seen Sailor Moon, like it's just like, it's so cool. Like it just looks appealing, okay? I don't know what to fucking say. Go fuck. I'm sorry. I2P is simply an anonymous site that's used to access the dark web, which the dark web is pretty messed up, so, It's actually a lot like Freenet, except this one was made anonymously and prioritizes user safety more than anything. So I'm sure it's probably still used for Club Penguin, but, Satoshi Nakamoto is the fake name used by the dude who made Bitcoin. And I'm not really sure why this is on tier 5 and like everybody knows about Bitcoin at this point. But yeah, he basically founded it and he's currently worth about 54 billion, which is fucking insane. But, yeah. Alright, that's pretty much it for now. I'm going to do the last 3 parts as a huge mega vid, so stay tuned. And I'll probably have something put out between this vid and that one. Maybe like a story time thing if I find something cool and I want to like read it to you guys. But pretty much, yeah. It does actually take a lot of fucking time. It takes like 3 days to make these videos, dude. I gotta like research it on one whole day and like no shit. Doing all the research in one block takes like 6 or 7 hours. And then I have to like record it, which isn't, I like recording. It's like the best part. And then I gotta edit it down. And then I gotta like, that takes another fucking day. So, if you liked it, then cool. Keep it to yourself. Don't do anything specific if you liked it. I don't care. Anyway, yeah, that's really all I have for now. But, yeah, like I said, probably going to be another video before the next part. So I'm just gonna try to keep uploads day first. And, yeah, that's really all I got. See you in the next one.